What Russell Westbrook has taught us over the past couple years, it's that high-flying acrobatics and an intense ferocity to compete will not buy you everyone's love. Well, it won't buy you playoff wins either. But what causes the stark contrast in opinions among NBA fans? For the most part, he has attributes which fans seem to adore. A high motor, intense, a willing passer, and a good defender at times, coupled with perhaps the best athleticism in the entire NBA. Well, today I'll examine how Russell Westbrook's play style, controlling nature, and attitude towards the media and his teammates have made him his own worst enemy in the eyes of the general public.
Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I talk it. Woo. Walk it like I talk it. Hey. Walk it like I talk it. 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 Woo. Walk it like I talk it.
Section 1. Play style. I want to first start off by saying I want to give Russell a fair shake in this video. I don't want to have any of my biases complicate what I'm trying to get across here. And so things like rebound whoring or assist hunting at the end of games is not something I'm going to focus on because I don't believe it makes the team intrinsically worse. However, there are still some glaring flaws in Russell's game that I think severely hamper his team's ability to succeed. One of those is his god-awful shot selection. Russell's reliance on the three-point shot, and specifically the pull-up three-point shot, is extremely confusing when considering for players that take at least 2.53 attempts per game and have played 500 games, he ranks dead last in NBA history for three-point percentage. During a 2014 interview, he had a rare moment of self-awareness when he talked about how he needed to reduce the amount of three-pointers he was shooting. But ever since then, his attempts have remained constant, while the number of unassisted threes he makes has actually gone down, which means more of these pull-up bricks. In a fantastic ESPN article written by Zach Lowe following the Thunder's first-round exit this year, he talked about other oddities in Russell's shot selection, like taking threes while dribbling backwards, or being in the pick and roll but not actually going through the screen so the shot's still contested. We're not talking about pull-up twos from the elbow, either in pick and roll or in transition, where he's shown he can be highly effective. We're talking about bad shots for any player at any level of basketball. And he's taking them consistently despite being a subpar shooter. Then there's his playmaking ability, where many people rate him as one of the NBA's best passers. But while his contemporaries like Chris Paul and LeBron opt for a more finessed and nuanced approach to passing, Russell likes to go 1,000 miles an hour and jam it down your throat to try to get these plays made. You can see in many of LeBron's assists the cat-like sixth sense he has for finding open cutters or people in the corner. Chris Paul, on the other hand, manipulates pick and roll like a point god. With Russell, it's more about over-aggressive penetration and trying to feed it to a big down low, often in too tight of a window. I imagine when he was young, Russell was the type of kid to try to jam the square into the circle hole in the match the shape sets. With this considered, it should come as no surprise that in the past 3 years, Russell's managed to rack up over 1,000 turnovers and 3 of the top 25 turnover per game seasons ever. These two problems, his bad passing and his bad shooting, are not necessarily weaknesses in his game in a traditional sense, but instead they're decisions that he makes consistently throughout games and throughout seasons that hamper his team's ability to win. In order to remedy the situation, he must look at himself in the mirror and realize that he is the one creating the problem for himself. Section 2. Russell's need for control. Westbrook's need for control is apparent in everything he does. Like this interview where he won't even let Steven Adams answer a question directed towards him, or on the court where he pounds the ball out this entire possession. Focusing specifically on the on-court aspect of this, Russell's controlling nature creates two major problems for the Thunder. The first is other stars on the team are stripped of their identity as players and made into isolation-only scorers. Second is the team as a whole loses its offensive identity because the offense is made into the Russell show. It's easy to see the improvements Durant and Oladipo made after leaving OKC, but I think a better narrative to illustrate my point here is how Paul George has changed as a player coming into this year. The dynamic between George and Russell has been super weird this year. It's a lot of Russell dribbling the ball, penetrating, passing, and then when it gets to the end of the shot clock, here you go, Paul, bail us out. Paul has always been an ISO-heavy player, but more so this year than ever before. I felt like Paul was an accessory to the offense instead of an integral part of it. Because of this, the Thunder ranked second in isolation plays while racking up a mere 0.82 points per possession. The second part of this control equation is how he has completely hijacked the offense from Billy Donovan. Coming into this year and adding Carmelo and Paul George, Billy saw a real chance to go deep in the playoffs, and at the beginning of the year preached things like ball movement. The more passes that were made, the more chances the defense would have to make a mistake. Rather unsurprisingly, Russell did not buy into this philosophy, and because of this, OKC ranks second to last in total passes made. Ultimately, only Russell can decide whether he's willing to buy into his coach and his teammates and have a chance at a championship run, or whether he wants to continue to heave up 43 shots in losing efforts in the playoffs. Section 3. Unprofessional behavior. The intensity that Russell shows night in and night out on the court is what draws many fans to him. It's undeniable that when it comes to playing hard, Russell plays the right way. Unfortunately, Russell's intensity carries itself off the court into everything else he does, including interactions with fans, the media, and other players on his team. There's many compilations on YouTube showing Russell's quote-unquote most savage moments. What these videos are filled with is Russell critiquing or refusing to answer questions from the media which he believes are stupid, and other interactions with fans where he goes off on them. While I think this level of intensity can be considered savage on some level,
Bro, what are you talking about?
I consider it extremely unprofessional, and I know a lot of other fans agree with me.
Don't ask me a dumb question you know the answer to.
Russell gets paid hundreds of millions of dollars to be an NBA player, and being an NBA player does not just consist of going out and playing hard on the court. It consists doing your due diligence with the media and at the very least respecting fans. Russell has shown from time to time a complete lack of ability to do either one. While these savage off-court moments I think play little part on his on-court success, I still think it's a big reason why people that would otherwise love his game are turned off to him. Well, that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed my breakdown of why Russell Westbrook is so polarizing. And if you made it this far, maybe consider giving the video a like and subscribing to my channel for more NBA content. Until next time, thanks and peace out.